Okay, so I want to do a part 2 to my anti-fan video. First and last time I'm just gonna do this because I thought it'd be interesting if I like read some of their stuff for the first time, like on camera, and just responded to it kind of like genuinely, organically. And I had like a friend collect some stuff and send it to me so that I could read it. So some of it is not working correctly. Like not everything they sent me is working correctly. So I'm going to put it in the video where you can see it. And my goal here is to really show you that I'm not trying to hide any of the stuff they're saying about me, and to let you see it and decide for yourself if you believe it. But after this, I have no intentions of like entertaining them again, because one thing my therapist said to me today was that people who have that kind of mentality, they're insecure and they're lonely. So I don't really have any interest in like attacking people like that. They need to find their own self-love, and I don't have any interest in engaging with people like that because that's like toxic for me. So they can kind of have their like little attention now and hopefully move on to something else. But if they don't, they don't. But I don't want to keep the attention on them because of fans, like healthy fans that don't want to hear about this stuff. But I did want to just read it out loud because I do think it's important for like creators to like address that hate, like kind of call it out of the shadows, and not be afraid to directly like look at the hate. So one of the first links that I have on here is by somebody. There are about three or four people who constantly harass me and defame me. And when I say defame, I mean, example being if they say I'm a criminal. I'm not saying give it good constructive criticism, a positive constructive criticism.
Hey, so I really like what you did, but I noticed that like the hand is at a weird angle, just
right. And then give a negative criticism that is not defamation.
I don't really like the design on this character. I feel like it's too bright or loud.
Can you change this?
Can you change
that?
Like, can you change?
These are not things I'm saying you should say.
Can you change the pose maybe?
And then of course there's even I hate you, you suck. Still not defamation. It's just an opinion.
Yeah.
So those things are okay to say. Now it would be best if you said the positive criticism one. But what they're saying is not that, and that's what I'm going to show you in the video. So the three people, their usernames, they change their usernames a lot, but usually they go by Yali, Cami, and Foxy. And then there was somebody, I don't know if they're still active or not, but their name was Silence the Stemmen. So and then there's like some people that kind of like run around with them in circles quite often, and those were the same group of people who supported Mons when she first like came out with her stuff, and they're still around, they're still kicking, but basically I'm going to focus on them because there are other people who complain and stuff like that. But those people weren't people who were defaming me actively or were actively harassing me. These people were. So Cami posted on Reddit's Ajané Games, and she said, I was refunded by Ajané Studios. Last year in October, I was refunded simply because I refused to stop trying to get one by messaging her on Kickstarter when more incidents flared up by her own actions. I waited until now to post since it's after the holidays, and my workplace has been hectic where I didn't need to worry about this post on top of that. These were out of anger, frustration, disappointment during the course of this entire showcase of her business practices. So when I saw her blog post depicting said messages as hateful, I posted on AjonDreamStudios.com, I posted Cami's message to me, which were hateful and harassing in nature. You can view them there if you're interested. On my blog, I can link it in this video in the description as well. She links it in her Reddit post as well. She said, when I saw her depict these messages as hateful, I was livid. These messages to their company account on Kickstarter were done over the course of the last year when they were on hiatus, right after the main writer left. By the way, the main writer has always been me.
She has always been the main writer.
I'm credited as the main writer. So just in case there's any confusion, it's not Jackie and it's not our former writing partner. It has always been me.
Always.
Hiding themselves up in Discord, and there were no responses to anything besides the artist coming forward with her experience. I'm going to talk about this time in the Journey of ADS video I'm doing. But basically we were on hiatus, and during that time, because we were on hiatus and there was so much hate going, I was just focusing on writing Echoes, but she literally chased us down to Discord to the point where we had to delete that Discord server because she really wanted answers for something that there was no answers at that point because we literally were on hiatus and I was just trying to do the work. She wanted answers to the past that I had already said a few times, and I did write blogs about those.
Yeah, we had already answered those questions, so yeah.
Like I told her on Kickstarter, in my Kickstarter comment in one of the updates, the word sick in my messages was used as an alternative for disgusting, not mentally. So basically she was trying to call me disgusting, or my practice is disgusting, and didn't mean that I was mentally ill. I never assumed that she thought I was mentally ill. I don't know where that kind of Either way,
that's
it's not a bad thing anyway to be mentally ill. It's just like saying someone's disgusting because.
But also calling someone disgusting anyway is not exactly a nice thing to do. That's mean. So.
With all her actions that were wrong building up, it was getting utterly annoying to the point where my temper exploded. So basically, her perspective of my actions were annoying her to the point that her temper exploded, and she decided to send those messages to me, and she became livid that I viewed them as hateful. I feel that this person has a temper issue. I outright refused to take the rewards and keys I was given.
Okay.
As I said before, that I didn't want them because the game isn't what was promised and will never be. The only person who can decide that is me, because I was the one who came up with the concept. The only thing that changed with Echoes was the length of time, which it was 15 to 25 hours promised, and I put it down to 10 hours with DLC. She then stated that she wanted me to have no further contact with her, and will put a restraining order on me aside legal action. Still working on that. I told her to go ahead and try. The court will ask her where the funds had went if she goes through with them and with proof.
The court has a right to that, rather than a random person having a right to that.
And even if it also has nothing to do with her harassment.
Exactly.
So if they ask where the fund, basically if I'm coming there to say that she's defaming me and she is
harassing
me, then they're not going to say where did the funds go.
The funds have nothing to do with
the funds
that.
went to the game.
Yeah.
And I would not mind proving it in court, but it has nothing to do with what that course of action I'm trying to pursue.
The court would only do that if she demanded that from you through the court, basically. Because if someone's attacking you, if someone's physically attacking you,
she would need to sue me for them to demand that.
Yeah. If someone's attacking you and you're like, this person's attacking me, they're not gonna be like, where's your money going? They're gonna be like, how can we stop this?
Since she posted my messages, and Kickstarter said that they don't care about mine being posted as well on her blog since it's off-site. And then she also apparently contacted the company that hosts my domain, Squarespace, because I posted them. And Squarespace said, when she reported my blog posts about her hateful messages to me, they said it's creative freedom of speech. Apparently, they defended my post as creative freedom of speech.
Wow.
I don't.
I'm sorry.
Either way, she literally sent those messages to me, and I posted them because they broke the law, in my opinion. And I'm ready to defend that in court because she was harassing me and calling me names and sending me, just violently abusive messages. And I did report those to Kickstarters as well, and they said they'd look into it. I don't know what they did after.
That's like someone getting mad at, like, they punched you, and then you tell the teacher, and then they're like, why'd you tell the teacher that I punched you?
It says apparently she reported my messages to Kickstarter, which I did. They assured her, in her words, that I couldn't respond back to her when I think they meant the comments on Kickstarter, since I can't anymore, nor I see any backer-only posts. I can still reply in DMs, but I refuse, since she'll just have more ammo to accuse me of harassing her. I mean, that's kind of the point of stalking.
If you would...
If she wasn't harassing me, then she wouldn't have to worry about her response being considered harassing me if she decided to continue.
If you continue, then you're harassing.
Right.
Like,
and so since she stopped, she's basically admitting that she was harassing.
Harassing somebody,
in my opinion.
Like, literally, if you continue on after they tell you to stop, it's harassing.
Then Yali responded to her her comment, and they all like to upvote each other's stuff too. Like, so they all upvoted each other's stuff. So this is the best comment. Yali responded, lucky you, when she finally deigned to answer me on Kickstarter, she said that she'd show my rude, disrespectful messages to the support to decide if my behavior is deserving of a refund. To no one's surprise, she's been ignoring me since. She actually never responded. We never talked, and I actually am the last person who talked in the thread. But, you know, it's not like she can prove that when she posts our conversations. Mm-hmm. She said, I guess I wasn't toxic enough for Kickstarter's workers. I'm pretty sure I qualify purely by Ajané standards, though. I don't even know how to answer this.
Literally.
how do I measure someone's toxicity?
Oh my gosh, this whole thing is ridiculous.
It's honestly appalling that the only way to get money back for a failed project. By the way, the project is being released. It has been, most of the rewards have been released, with the exception of physical rewards. It's not failed because it's a game that exists and is being released. It just changed slightly, and they are calling it failed, and they want a refund.
First of all, oh my god.
It's honestly appalling that the only way to get money back for a failed project is to get angry and yell. And when you do, you are automatically labeled an anti, threatened with legal procedures, and blocked. No, I haven't done that to anybody besides those a couple people. That's it. And blocking is the only time I block. It has nothing to do with you being anti or not. If you are harassing me repeatedly in some way, it doesn't mean that you're an anti if I block you. It just means that you were harassing me and I felt unsafe and uncomfortable with being on social media with you trying to curse at me or whatever.
Yeah.
And being an anti is a fan. I only label someone as an anti-fan when they're actively trying to bring down me or my company. They're actively working opposite as a fan. And as far as being threatened with legal procedures, I only threaten with legal procedures if I feel that you have broken the law by lying about something I've done or harassing me, basically. Mm-hmm. So criticizing me is fine. Saying you hate me, that I suck, that's fine. It's not nice, and I might block you, but I'm not going to sue you, and I'm not going to call you an anti unless you're actively working every day to bring me down, you know.
Mm-hmm.
When I start listing all the problems I had with this project, deceitful updates, as we talked about, they were never intentionally deceitful.
Never.
Lying, I don't know what that means. We never lied. Told the truth to the best of our
literally always told the truth from what we, like, at the time felt was the truth. Like, it's not like we were like, oh, let's lie about the update this time.
And then she says misuse of funds. I don't know where she gets proof.
Where does she think the funds went?
Like, the game still exists.
Where do you think the money went? Like,
it went to pay contractors, and it went to pay for the arts. So I don't know why she feels that she has proof. And then they tell me to post what I did with it, which I believe, like,
you can't. That's other people's paychecks. So like, you can't show other people's paychecks.
Months of ghosting. She's probably talking about the hiatus.
But that
announced.
That was an announced hiatus.
Slander. She's saying, I guess, that I slandered them. I don't know how I slandered them. I've only
shown what they did.
shown what they did and said, and I've only responded to that. Abuse of former co-workers, which that in itself is defamation. She's saying that I have abused my former co-workers, when she has no proof of that, and I'm saying that is not the truth. And close associates. So I guess she's trying to say that I abuse my friends and stuff. So again, that's defamation. That is why they are being sued. More lying.
Lying about what?
I don't. They say that I lie about everything.
I love how they don't have any actual evidence or proof in their own threads. They just say things and like assume everybody else is going to believe it.
She said change of the game format from promised 25 hours to barely 10 hours. It said 15 to 25. That is like immortalized in the campaign page. Like anyone can go visit it. Visit Destiny's Echoes. And the game is right now probably, I don't even know, it's probably going to be around more than 10 hours to be honest, but I just said 10 hours to be safe. But it's probably already at like 6 to 8 hours for just the common route.
And just because an estimation is there doesn't mean that it's a guarantee, especially not the upper part of an estimation.
Especially when it comes to Kickstarter campaigns.
Especially.
It's just what we planned and hoped to do, but the team obviously became significantly smaller, and people wanted the game, so it was made more sense to just like condense it a little bit more instead of to make it super long. And I never held back telling the story I wanted to tell, regardless. Complete rewrite of all the work the former writer has done won the game, which was almost completed judging by the script.
So first of all, no, it was not. Second of all, there were 2 writers. I was the other one.
Yeah.
Third of all, tying into the first one, that script was not complete. It was not. There was a lot of missing parts.
It was not. How do I say this? It was not what I wanted to release.
And it's not what I wanted to release.
And it was more like a draft. And without her working for me personally, she would have no idea of the creative process I go through to get a game to where it is. And besides that, it is within my creative right to do a rewrite if the writer for that script left in order to complete the project. I'm supposed to do whatever it takes to complete the project. That's essentially what they don't remember, is that I am allowed to do whatever I need to do to complete my promises.
You're the creative director, you're the CEO, you're the owner of the dang company.
I was always the lead writer.
Always the lead writer.
And I only did a complete, I wouldn't even call it a rewrite, I just didn't use that script.
Yeah, it wasn't even a complete rewrite. Literally, most of what was there, like a lot of the like themes and like a lot of the events and stuff, like that stuff is still in this new script. It's just written better.
She said, and expecting us to pay for her Patreon, where if we Kickstarter backers who already paid money up front want to see actual development updates. That is completely incorrect, and that's a good example of showing how completely confused and misinformed they are. You don't need to pay. You don't need to pay anything to me to see updates. I post updates on Kickstarter, and I post updates on Echoes itself, but they refused Echoes keys,
so they don't see the updates
on Echoes, which would have been free because I gave every single one of them keys, despite how they're acting. They still were obligated to keys. So basically, they just made assumptions, and the only updates I post on Patreon are like my general personal developer updates, which are not Echo specific.
Yeah, and she even said that she rejected the key, so right. That means she wouldn't be getting those updates anyway.
And I do post general updates anyway, also on Echoes still, but for like the little scene by scene releases, I post them on, and they're public. The thing is, they're public. The updates are not even. They're public. You can go onto Echo's page and see the devlogs. So it's just a good example of how much assumptions are. And then she said her only response is to say, I'm a pitiful, angry person for creating such a drama over a mere $15. Which I don't remember ever saying that to her. But she doesn't have any screenshots in there. I'm saying that I didn't say that.
No, you definitely didn't.
I don't think I would have said she was a pitiful, angry person to create drama over $15.
That doesn't even sound like you. That literally doesn't even sound like you. Oh my gosh, I've known you for so long. Like that literally does not sound like you at all. Like
it sounds like an anime villain.
I know. What? Oh my gosh. You're too tired for that.
You're right. I am really too tired.
You're too tired for that. I know.
If anything, I'm just like, this is sad, and okay, sure, whatever. Like, it really, I'm just, these people have been coming at me for 2 years.
Talk about projecting. Oh my gosh, this whole thing has been so.
And then she said, do you know that I've actually spent more on ADS by supporting 2 of their Kickstarter campaigns and buying MDSOA routes and epilogues for that. It's not just a mere $15 for me. Okay, but that's not anything to do with what you're not asking for a refund of anything besides $15 or whatever it is. I don't know exactly what her tier pledge is, but like, I don't even know what her tier pledge is. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't even know. It could be $15, but point being that that it's great that she was a contributor like that, but it still doesn't give you the right to treat me like trash because you don't agree with some of the changes that were made to a concept that you agreed to back on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
I mean, on Kickstarter, they even say, like, you know, projects may change. It's in their TOS that stuff may change along the way.
It really is.
So by using Kickstarter, you're agreeing that the project you're backing might change.
And then she was like, but your example is quite encouraging. I have not touched the links to the rewards in the game build that she sent me as fulfillment of her Kickstarter obligations. And honestly, I feel rejuvenated to try to gain some of my money back by seeing your success. She has since contacted me asking for money back, and I absolutely refused because once I gave back Cammy her money, she just absolutely has been parading it around and saying that she basically got it back for harassing me. That's basically what it comes down to.
Literally?
So I'm saying that I'm not giving to coercion through harassment anymore. They are refusing their rewards and hoping that I will refund them if they harass me enough, and I've told them no. I don't, there's no, Kickstarter doesn't even allow like bad language between each other. So there's no negative language or anything like that in there. It's just simply like, no, I'm not going to do this. So you're going to have to sue me if you really feel like you don't want the rewards and you want your money back. And then they just kind of like talk to each other. Oh my gosh. Literally, so the people who are talking to each other on Reddit are Rydar, which is Cammy, and Yali the Sloth, which is Yali, and then Silence the Stimmin. And then, let's see. Somebody was like, glad you got a refund. I'm surprised she's still up to the same shtick these past years. I completely forgot about her until I got her recent email, and they seem like the same old excuses she always uses. I don't know what excuses they're talking about. Kind of feels to see her getting the same shit she's been giving to others, and I don't even have to lift a finger. That should show you the mentality of how bitterly angry and hateful these people are. I don't even know what they're like referring to, but some of those backers too, like some of them also are like friends with them, so I bet you that's one of the people, because there's been some people who have been really rude to me when I tried to give them their rewards, and since that seems to be a backer that got an email from me, it's probably one of those people. Mm-hmm. And then they're talking to each other, like literally on Reddit, they just talk to each other in threads on the our Atome games.
Like just them?
It's so far. It's just people who have backed the game. That's all I see. They're literally just talking to each other in really long threads. Basically, there are people out there that are apparently like claiming to like know some sort of insider information about me or about my process, and they're like, oh, DM me and stuff like that. Like, first of all, defamation once again, because the only people who have ever known about my inside process, I mean, to be honest, most of it's in my head, but this is the person who would know the most. And then the other person who knew the most was my former writing partner. And then Mons was only with us for a short time. And then like when it came to like the former artist, like literally nobody's heard from her since she moved to countries. So basically anyone claiming that they have secret inside information is most likely someone who just doesn't like me and is trying to spread stuff. So if you catch anyone doing that and you want to report it to me, I'd be happy to like receive that information, because that is spreading my private information if they actually do it, or it's spreading lies about me.
Yeah.
Like if they're talking about stuff that happened inside of the business, again, it can only be those people, because literally no one else has worked with us. Freelancers don't work with me closely or anything like that. They just do the projects. So there's like really nobody who has like secret inside information except for those people. But if you'd like to report someone to me, go ahead. Or if you want to talk to them and find out what they have to say, that's fine. But don't necessarily believe it, because those are very few people actually like even know me, and we're telling the story here today.
And spreading personal information is illegal in many places. It doesn't matter how widespread you think it is if you don't have permission to spread the information. Especially if like the person who like has that information, if they didn't like publicly post it, that's illegal, and you're not supposed to do that. So anybody claiming to have any personal private information like that, that isn't well known, like I don't know, your hair being pink or something like that, or like what kind of brand I use or whatever, like stuff like that you've mentioned before. That's one thing, but it's another thing if someone's like spreading stuff about your personal life, like where you work or where you live, or like things like that. That's illegal. So if you see anybody doing that, please do report them, because that can be extremely dangerous.
Right. And I think it's just like a shame that people are like so obsessed with taking me down that they would literally break the law and like disrespect other human beings like that. Obsessed with taking me down based off the fact that my game had delays, and that some things had to change due to like the indie environment. That's really it. And the team shifts, like really that's the extent of it. But they've made it into this big huge thing, and then they're mad when they're called out on it. Somebody was like, one of the comments in this thread, they're like, she just loves to claim she's on hiatus because of money. I don't, like how on earth?
Where else would the money be going?
Oh, like at the same time, they assume that I'm like lavishing myself upon
with what?
Even though like I'm constantly working and really.
You're like you've only ever been working.
I don't even have nothing to dye my hair right now.
Oh my gosh.
And and the thing is, like they said, that she just loves to claim she's on hiatus because of money. Like what kind of, like why would you assume that's a claim? Like why would I lie about that? And how could a person convince you that they were on hiatus then? Like basically they're just impossible to convince or please, and so I don't try to. I'm not talking to them when I say things.
Like what? Like
I have no reason to do that.
What would constitute a hiatus then at this rate? Like you could have broken your arm, and they
would definitely say that I was just making it up.
Like what? Like this is ridiculous. Honestly, all of this is ridiculous.
And they're like, oh, good luck letting people in the future know about her track record. As a former backer, you have the right to write negative reviews. That is true. About writing negative reviews. And my track record is very public, even without reviews, because of the updates on Kickstarter. And here's the thing I found out. Kickstarter will actually prevent you from creating more projects, and they can remove your account if they feel like you're violating the terms of service. For the mere fact that many people have complained about me and they have not done that means they don't feel that I am violating anything as a creator. They have, reached out to me personally and just been like, oh, hey, good luck with anything in the future. So I mean, they're not feeling that I'm violating those things, and I'm doing my best to update backers and get them their stuff. And there's been problems in the past, but I think that's very common on the platform. And someone said, it's not slander or defamation if your claims are legitimate and backed with evidence. That is true, but that is not what's happening here. There's no evidence.
Where's the evidence?
Someone's like, they're saying like, oh, I got someone complained about her on the Better Business Bureau. And then they're like, oh, LOL, that's one way of putting what she is. Yep, thank you. I will definitely not let her scare me. I'm not trying to scare anybody. I'm just literally trying to live my life and make games. either she finishes those games or I'm going to spread the word.
But you're working on finishing the games. I don't understand.
Right. So honestly, Kickstarter should require projects to be done before making a new one. Like I said, there actually is a rule in there that they can prevent a creator from making new projects if they haven't fulfilled their other one. They have not done that to me. That's all I can say. And there's been plenty of complaints. So next thing I'm going to look for, and Cammy or someone from this group, because they're all responding here, posted that Aeon Dream Studios falsely advertised to TTEOTS premium buyers. Aeon Dream Studios is at it again. They have changed the premium without a warning. Not even a month's advance of saying it will not contain all future content for free anymore. This was noticed in their blog update a day ago. Wow, they're really paying attention to the blog, huh? Like they feel that they have to professionally take me down or something. Like this is their job.
Wow.
Basically, they're talking about how it used to say that you will receive all future content for free, and that was before I made the extra story section, and then I updated the store listing to say except for the extra story section. Once I released the extra story section, that's really it. They're calling that false advertising, and I can understand where there'd be confusion regarding that, because I said that you would receive season all future content for free, and at the time I hadn't planned to make any additional content outside of season 1, so I can understand why it looks shady. But it ended up being that I decided to make extra content outside of season 1, and I could not financially afford it anymore, to do that extra content. So what I did was just keep all of the same content I had originally planned on releasing for premium, but then I added in a discount for premium users for the extra content. And I understand that's confusing. Some people might see that as shady. It was not intended to be shady. It was my every intent to try to give as much content as I could for free. But after things went south with the big hit art change and all that stuff, I could no longer afford to add extra content for free. The stuff that I promised in that Kickstarter, the stuff that I promised in general was the stuff I always intended to be free was still free. I did not suddenly make something else paid. But I understand if people are confused or uncomfortable with that, that's fair. But again, there's no deceit there, no intentional deceit there. And I wrote blogs about it as well. This is going against the word of their own fact page, which says what are the features in premium. Yeah, because originally it says the Through Their Eyes POV stories, because I intended to release them under premium originally, but then it was no longer financially feasible, so I just made those at a 50% discount for premium people. And it's kind of they're mad at the fact that sometimes as an indie developer, a lot of times as an indie developer releasing a project that is in development, there's a lot of changes and there's a lot of turbulence, and then sharing that story with your fans and stuff, they seem to be confused where they think you're a corporation or something. You're always able to do exactly what you say when you say it, and that would be great. But the indie experience is really turbulent, and it's maybe I shouldn't have been sharing that experience. That's what I started thinking. Maybe I shouldn't be sharing in development stuff for people, but people don't want to wait either. So it's if I share in development stuff and I have to change some stuff, I'm trusting you that you have the patience and the understanding to understand that I was no longer able to do the thing that I planned to do. And especially as I was growing from an amateur to a professional, learning about what I could and couldn't do. So I'm basically really trusting fans when I announce things that they're going to know that, subject to change. Everything. I think even corporations say subject to change.
Yeah.
And at the time, the Through His Eyes POVs hadn't even been released yet before I changed it. It's not I had released it and then made it cost. I literally changed it before the release because I could no longer do it for free. So I just changed it to $1 for premium users and $2 for free users to buy. But I don't know how to stress this enough. When you're involved with an indie person, it's involving a certain amount of trust. And if you're just a distrustful person in general and you think everything they do is shady, then you're going to see everything that they do through this lens of their bad intention.
And you're just not going to be happy with anything that they put out.
It's like, why would you, if you feel like so negatively towards this person, why wouldn't you focus on other things? It's really toxic. If you really like hate me, you really think I'm such a bad person, you already put out a ton of stuff saying all this negative stuff. Like, why would you dedicate your life to bringing me down? Like, am I the most evil person in the world that you know? Like, am I your life's ambition to bring down? And then how is that not an anti-fan?
Honestly.
How is that not the opposite of a fan? So the next one, a Mystic Destiny's Echoes fiasco or how not the Kickstarter project. I'm not sure when this was made. I think it's pretty old. Really long. It's really, really, really long. Basically just detailing the process of Mystic Destiny's Echoes.
Do they just expect all Kickstarter projects to be perfect? Like, I honestly,
I think so.
Like, because Kickstarter, they acknowledge that, like, when you have a project on there and you kickstart it, like, it's hard to, like, get it out even after you get funding. Like, it can be hard to get it out. And they try to make sure that both parties understand that sometimes things aren't not smooth sailing. That's why there's a whole risk section at the bottom of every Kickstarter. like no matter how much experience somebody can have, like, anything could happen. And that's just something that you have to accept when you kickstart a project. And even Kickstarter says that. Like, seriously. Not everything goes perfectly.
Like, basically this whole thread is just, it's her complaining about how disappointed she is with the way I handled things. And then she was, like, complaining that I was shifting blame. This is pretty old.
Yeah.
And then whine that people are demanding the stuff they paid for. You can't ask for understanding with sharing no information. You can't demand respect and then throw accusations and threats. I don't remember throwing accusations and threats. I don't know why I would have had a reason to do that, especially at that time.
At that time, especially now.
Because this is pretty old. You can't ignore all attempts to contact you and then accuse people for problems with communication. For someone who claims to be blunt and honest, she does not. Aeon Dream Studios leader does not know how to handle critique very well. First
of all, one does not have anything to do with the other. Let's just get that out of the way. Second, what they call critique is not critique.
The thing is, she literally said that I was asking her to be more polite and behave well, and she could understand that sentiment, but she felt she was justified in her behavior.
Just because you feel you're justified doesn't mean that you should act a certain way.
And then basically the shifting blame thing, like, people kept saying that I was like, I don't know if this is what she was referring to, but people kept saying I was shifting blame to, like, my teammates and stuff like that, when I was literally just being like, okay, the team behind it, like, hasn't gotten it done. All right, let's, like, move on. And I don't even know if I even said that at the time. Mm-hmm. But basically, there's just a really long, really, really, really long thread on Reddit,
and
with tons of pictures and screenshots of like all my wrongdoing, but it's like twisted from the only perspective that she could see it from, basically, rather than like hearing it from my mouth or hers.
Yeah, and like in regards to like the whole blame shifting thing, first of all, me being part of the Echoes team, I can confirm she wasn't blame shifting anything. We were saying those words and saying, hey, tell the fans this. And that's what was coming out. She wasn't blame shifting. We were saying these things. But because she was posting the blogs, everybody kept thinking that you were saying it. But it was the Echoes team speaking to you guys.
And basically someone responded to that thread and they were like, to sum it up, we kept delaying the game. Our backers were rightfully worried and angry, so we became stressed out that we messed up. People were making us feel bad for not finishing the game. We have toxic fans, so we won't be finishing the game anymore. I don't remember ever saying we won't be finishing the game anymore.
No one ever said that we weren't finishing the game anymore. I really want to know where someone thinks we said that, because
I don't remember
no
saying that, but because Because I would have just been like, I'll refund you if I wasn't gonna, if I had decided we weren't gonna do that.
Yeah, but multiple times you kept saying, I'm going to continue trying to finish this game.
And then basically they're just calling it a train wreck, and they're saying, but nobody's outright toxic. I don't think anyone gets to decide that except for me. If it feels toxic to me, and I say it's toxic, then it's toxic for me.
Yeah.
Even if someone else's opinion is that it's not toxic. It's a toxic environment when the backers that are supposed to be, patient and understanding of delays. Now I understand they can get angry, they can get upset, they can get, confused, they really want to know what's going on. Like, I feel like that's reasonable, but when they turn like completely against the very project that they backed out of their anger, and they give in to their anger, and it's more about being angry and expressing that anger than it is about supporting that project or finding out what's going on with it or trying to get it to the finish line. I feel like that is a toxic environment for that creator then, because Kickstarter is about supporting ideas that people are trying to get from concept to a finished project. And I think that, like, if you get angry or frustrated along the way, that's understandable, but you have to understand what you signed up for. And we had to understand what we signed up for, which was committing to finishing the project no matter what, as long as we were part, of the team. And at the time, now it's only me that's part of the team, so I still have that commitment. I'm the only one left with that commitment. So to hate me for trying to finish a commitment, or to be negative towards me, to be rude, and to make me feel like you're being toxic, that was never going to get the project done. That was never going to be an environment in which supported Kickstarter's concept of having this nice beneficial relationship between Kickstarters and between Kickstarter creators and backers.
Yeah, and it's not how you intend, it's how it's received, honestly. Like, that's like a golden rule for a lot of places. If what you say hurts somebody's feelings, for example, like if you call someone, I don't know, an idiot, and that person feels hurt, you can't say, oh, you shouldn't feel hurt, I didn't mean it that way, or whatever, or you shouldn't feel hurt, like, stop being a baby. Like, you can't say that. You can't determine whether or not that person feels hurt for what you said. So if the person that you're interacting with feels that you're being toxic towards them, then you're being toxic towards them. And, like, that's how they feel. And they are valid in that. But you can't determine how they're supposed to feel.
And then there were like, some people were talking in the comments, they're like, especially since they didn't even have legal permission for using BTS in that way, it ended up having to remove all reference to BTS and change the art. Honestly, what it meant is like they're following how not to run a business checklist. First of all, I've never really considered myself a business, so let's just get that out of the way. I'm a business for tax purposes. I'm an artist, first and foremost. Second of all, that the game was supposed to be a demo that got Big Hit's attention, and we were not doing anything that any BTS fan artists and whatever else was, not doing. Like, basically, like I said, we're artists, so we considered ourselves artists at the time, creators. Like, any BTS fanfic or fan artist that's getting paid to do fan art and stuff, they were in the same exact boat as where we were. But first and foremost, it was just supposed to be a demo to get their attention, and then if they, I was hoping that if I kept developing it, we would get their attention. And if they didn't want me to use their stuff, I knew they'd tell me, like if they had a problem with it. And then they did, and I removed it. Problem solved. Basically, it wasn't, I never blamed Big Hit for their decision. I wasn't like upset or shocked about it in that way. It's like a little bit disappointing, but it wasn't a surprise. And it wasn't something I was hiding.
Yeah.
It was literally very public. And then somebody was like, better yet, they let fans of their fan game hand out those flyers. So we were the ones who handed out the flyers.
We handed out the flyers? What are you talking about? Fans of the fan. We
let fans of the fan game hand out the flyers, effectively milking the kind, naive nature of their own fan base together.
Excuse you.
With the BTS hype.
I am very offended because I handed out most of those flyers. Thank you very much.
So I don't know why basically there's so much misinformation surrounding us. Like, people will say stuff that'll just like confidently be wrong on Reddit.
Literally, it was you, me, and a friend.
So
we handed out. It wasn't. We didn't say, "Hey, other fans, help us hand out these flyers." Literally, I was going around hey, check out what we're working on because we're fans of BTS as well. Like literally, so it's like you're a fan artist and then you have your portfolio and you're like, hey guys, I'm a fan artist, I make fan art. Like that's basically what it was.
There's just a lot of people being like, well, glad I didn't bag it, and then they're talking about other games that didn't go well on Kickstarter. Basically, somebody was saying that they write all of us off as toxic and criticize our fandom for being too small compared to TTE to EOTS. I've never said all of our fans were toxic because I literally had fans, and to this day we have fans supporting us. So I would never say all of our fans are toxic. People are basically taking my words and they're perceiving it as they will.
Whoever says.
And I never said it I never criticized fandom you're too small or anything. I was just like, this one's smaller compared to this one. This is why that's why we feel like we're interacting more with them because there's just simply more fans. That's not a criticism.
Right, that's just stating a fact.
And then people keep saying stuff like, oh, delays and waiting aren't a problem, I don't mind. But then they're like, oh, but your attitude's the problem. I don't like your attitude. And the thing is, I think the delays and waiting are a problem, or there wouldn't have been any negativity and there would have never been any They said that we used to post a bunch of stuff on NBSOA and stuff, and then back then posting updates didn't seem to be a problem, but now it's taking time away from the game. It got to that point where it was taking time away to post any more than necessary, because back then with NBSOA we had that leisure time to actually sit there and to communicate with fans, and then by that point we were so stressed because we had so much work. So you could blame us and say they took on too much, and I would say you're absolutely right, but at the same time it wasn't us trying to be lazy about updates. It was literally we updated when we had something to say and we were focused on work. So I feel like people resented our change in fan culture, and that's just kind of what happens sometimes with teams as they get bigger or they take on bigger projects.
Mm-hmm.
And the team essentially no longer exists now anyway.
It's literally just her.
So
I'm sorry I'm not able to give any updates or whatever because I'm not working on any of the games, so it's not like I can go behind her back and give you an update. It's not.
Somebody quoted something apparently I must have said at some point. Says I don't know if I actually said this or not, but they're putting it in quotes. We don't like to share a lot of details about our work because we find it a waste of time we could be spending on work. Yeah, I was explaining why we don't do updates. So I was saying we don't share really finite, really tiny,
really teeny, yeah.
Because they seem to want we would get an update at that point, probably once a month, and they wanted to know every week. Or I don't know how often. Every
little step of the way. I wrote a paragraph today. You can't.
Right.
That's
so
not.
They wanted that really close.
Yeah, that's not
progress.
realistic.
That's not
for projects like that when it's small game.
Yeah. So for us at least, it wasn't realistic at the time. So I was explaining, basically that it feels like a waste of time when you're pressured between two projects that are already one of them was delayed. And then they said maybe I'm oversensitive, but this says to me that they see us as a waste of time.
That is not true. First of all,
this is a perspective thing.
That is definitely a perspective thing. An update is not direct. It does not directly correlate to the people receiving the update.
I have no idea what went on in this thread. Somebody was like, I'm going to lock this thread if you guys can't behave.
What happened?
I guess it was the mod, and they were like, the thread is locked, so the person who keeps making alts to harass people and circumvent bans, probably the dev of this game, kindly F off. So that was a very unprofessional mod on Reddit, because I've never been to this thread before, and it has accused me of making alts to harass
literally.
So I'm gonna have to report that person to Reddit, because they should. And how would they say kindly F off to somebody?
First of all, making that assumption that it's the dev, when neither one of us have touched Reddit. none of us are on Reddit, especially since she's been working on the games that she promised.
I don't have time for social media.
She really doesn't. I have to update her on everything.
Literally, I have no idea.
I have to update her on everything, and I barely have time myself. So I'll be like, "Hey, there's this thing," and she'll be like, "What?" Crawls out of hole. What are you talking about? And I'm like, "Yeah, so this thing's been going on for a while." And she's like, "What do you mean?" And that's the interaction every week. I update you like every week, you know, and stuff.
People were basically talking. They were like, "Oh, the situation is so terrible," but every update on it, I don't know what they're talking. What situation? I guess about To the Edge of Sky. Situation is terrible, but every update on it makes me want to go and grab some popcorn. It's easy, really. If you do not have the maturity to lead a game studio, then don't. Da 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 da. Like basically, they were just like sitting there from the comfort of their own home and like judging me. And then they were like, no one knows anything about marketing, management, budgeting, or work ethics. I'm sorry to say, but do you?
First of all, if they, you know, you being them, like if you have so much experience, then go ahead and make your own game studio, make your own game, and deal with it yourself. Like if you're going to sit and judge.
And it looks like they were judging also like people like I don't know what was going on at the time, but I know it sounds like this particular person was basically just saying stuff like they were like, oh well, I can't personally have panic attacks and anxiety at work. I have to do whatever, you know, I have to get over that. Like basically they were saying like whatever mental health issues we were sharing at the time were just like not. So like I was immature, I guess, for having them. So
it's immature to have mental health issues, is what they're saying, right? Is that
what said? Nobody has the time to worry about my mental health, the issues in my personal life. It sounds like it's like projecting. There's a lot of projecting going on here. It's like people are frustrated with their own lives, and then they're basically they're like Ajané claimed from the very beginning she's a professional, but the moment problems turn up, she reverts to saying, but they are but a small indie team. I mean, There's a difference between being a professional writer and then like it has nothing to do with it being a small team. Being a professional, like so.
Basically, like just because you're a professional doesn't mean that you're automatically not a small indie team. Small indie teams can still be professional. You're just independent. That's what indie means. You're not a huge corporation. You're still professionals. I don't understand. How are those independent?
They were like, oh, we really don't wish Ajané harm, but she urgently needs a damn reality check. I think this is crazy, though, that people think that they have the right to give this perceived reality check to someone they don't know.
It's not even like they're other indie devs.
Yeah, I mean, honestly.
Like these people do not seem like they're in the same seat as you, telling you to suck it up.
And then... I don't even know.
Like, you can't tell somebody else how to do their job or how to deal with the stress of their job.
There are just so many long Tumblr posts and things that I can't even get through all of these things, but I will leave like pictures. I went through all the links that I have. I can leave the links in the comments, or you guys can search it or whatever on your own. I'm just letting you guys know this stuff is out there, and like 95% of it, if not, no, probably like 99% of it is misinformation, assumptions, people putting their own spin on things, people perceiving my words as this and that. And the thing is, they're all entitled to that. You are entitled to perceive my words whatever way that you want to. But the reality and the way you perceive it, that's like not going to be true because I haven't shared those details before. In a separate video, I will be sharing details, like the rough over timeline of what did happen during that time. And you know, you can take away what you want to like take away from it, but essentially, like, what can I say here? I don't even know what to say after all that.
Honestly,
I don't understand. I guess you could say that I don't really understand people who really passionately sit and watch the every move of an indie game developer, judge it, then negatively try to shine light on it. Like, I can't imagine.
Especially when you're not, like, not you, them, when they're not an indie developer as well. It's like, have you ever been behind that wheel? Have you ever been the manager of like several artists of a small team, which is basically now just one person, and then having to like deal with how much everything costs, having to deal with all that? Like, it's so much work. Like, seeing you work, like, that's hard and stressful. And then having been in that seat, because I worked on Echoes, it is hard and stressful. It's like, oh my gosh, this is some tough work. Like, you think, oh, it's all sunshine and roses. No, it's not. So like, if you're not an indie dev and you don't know the hard work that goes behind it, you can't sit back there and then judge like how she's handling her job or how she's doing it. You can't say, oh, you should just suck it up. or oh, you should just act differently. Like that's not how it works, like at all.
So yeah, basically I just can't understand that kind of thinking. And if you're that kind of person who will be like sitting there and scoffing and judging people like that, I wouldn't want you as a fan, and I wouldn't want to take a single dollar from you anyway, because you will never understand me or like the struggle I went through or like my good intentions and how they got, you know, like it's not like I'm saying, oh, I did everything right and I deserve to never be criticized, which is what they seem to be assuming. I'm just saying, like, I want to be treated like a human being at the end of the day.
It's so funny because literally you keep apologizing for your mistakes and you keep accepting the fact that you made mistakes, and then you keep saying, I'm going to work hard to make up for those mistakes in every single blog post.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like you keep saying that, and they're like...
Literally, it's like some of my fans are like, can we stop please talking about this? You've already said it.
I know, oh my gosh, people are getting tired of hearing it. And but these same people, like those small people, they keep being like, oh, she keeps making excuses, and it's like, where are they?
So like, I just again want to say that I've never considered myself like a business. Don't consider me a business. I make money off my craft. That's really more of an artist thing. Especially now, it's just me. I am a business for tax purposes, but like I'm not a business in the terms of like a corporation or a big group of people that makes games or whatever. Like I never even had like they were like, oh, people don't know about marketing. Yeah, you're damn right. We didn't know about marketing.
Yeah.
We didn't know about marketing, and we didn't know about a lot of things. And I never claimed to. I never actually claimed to know about those things. I don't remember when I said I'm professional, but I don't even know what context that would have been under, but I was probably talking more about the quality of my writing.
Yeah.
Rather than like me being professional in the customer service aspect. All I wanted
in a business aspect.
Right. So all I want is to be treated like a human being, and I will treat you back the same way you treat me. Actually, I'll treat you back better, most likely, than the way you treat me, because that's the kind of person I am. And if other people can't see that, that's their problem at the end of the day. If they want to sit there and spread lies about me or make the most negative perceptions about everything I do and say possible, and they want to try to like feel like glee and joy off of whatever misfortunes happen to me, then that is somebody who has, you know, not maybe as much in life as I do. So I would say, you know, if that's what brings you joy in life, then go ahead and do it, as long as you aren't breaking the law by actually defaming me, saying I did things I didn't, that you don't have evidence
or sharing private information,
or making up private information that you're claiming is real and sharing it with people. Because if that, you know, is the case and you do that, I will absolutely, you know, come after you with the law, because I want to handle it civilly. But other than that, I really just want to live in peace. And if you guys want to live in another way, then good luck to you. So that's it for this video. I'm going to do another one, my last one, on this subject, kind of clearing up like the truth. We went through the lies, we went through the negativity, and the people's personal opinions and perspectives, and just general craziness. So I want to talk about the truth of what actually did happen, and then wrap it up and move on from here. You know, people can stay stuck in the past, but it's not going to be.
Yeah, no, we're trying to move to the future.
Right.